Okay, good evening to everyone. Kindly give me a confirmation if you guys can hear me. Good evening to everyone. Kindly give me a confirmation if you guys can hear me. Yes or no. Come on, fast. Can you guys hear me? Yes or no? Kindly give me a confirmation in the chat section, please. Awesome. Okay, cool. I hope I am audible to everyone and my voice is audible to everyone. Yes? Yes or no? Am I audible to everyone? Kindly give me a confirmation, please. Okay, perfect. So, welcome to day two of this boot camp. Yesterday we have started out with this boot camp, and I've already told you that whom this boot camp is targeting, right? So today we are going to continue with our series, and today we are going to learn some more stuff, and we're going to continue with our learning of Python and our data science. And we are going to talk a lot about Python today, right? And we are going to see some different aspects of what is Python and where we use Python and what are the different terminologies that you should know whenever we start with Python development, right? So before going on, if your screen is getting blurred, kindly change or upgrade your resolution to the highest resolution possible. Okay, if you're feeling that your screen is visible, it's a blur, kindly change the resolution to 720, please. It's a request. Okay, and give me the last confirmation if you guys can hear me clearly. Okay, no glitches, nothing, right? Okay, please give me a confirmation if you guys can hear me clearly, yes or no. Come on. Awesome, perfect. So before starting the class, I hope everyone knows the drill. Yes or no? Everyone knows the drill, right? While the class is going on, kindly please don't ask for any kind of attendance. If you have any kind of doubt, please stay till the end. We are going to address all the doubt in the end. Okay, even though if you're messaging, it won't be possible for me to switch and see your question, right? So we will be missing out a lot of questions from you guys, right? If you have any doubt, if you have any question, kindly keep it up till the last, right? And we are going to address that, right? And those of you who are here for attendance will be given out after 7. Okay, attendance will be given out after 7. So before that, it's a request, kindly don't ask about attendance. Okay, kindly focus on the session, or come after 7 o'clock, you will be getting your attendance link. Okay, I think that's clear. Is this clear, everyone? Yes or no? Kindly give me a confirmation, please. Is this clear? Perfect. So yeah, sorry. After 8, sorry, my bad. After 8, you will be getting your attendance link. Okay, my bad. Okay, cool. Perfect. So let's start with the today's session. Okay. Now, if we have a recap of what we have learned yesterday, right? We can see over here, we have started out with the term data science. We have understood what is data science and what impact it is having in the current scenario, in the current world, right? And then we have seen what are the different companies, how the different companies are using the concept of data science, how the different companies are utilizing data, and they are creating something, some products, and they're generating revenue day by day, right? Apparently, after that, we have also seen that what exactly is the role of Python. Okay, what exactly is the role of Python in the field of data science, right? So we have also seen that there are different programming languages that we have in store, and why Python is needed and required as compared to all the other languages. We have also seen that because it has a huge set of libraries that can deal with data science concept, right? It could be a machine learning, data analysis, deep learning, and furthermore, right? And apparently it has a large community support as well. If you have a community support, that means more likely the error or the issue that you're facing while coding, right, you will be getting your solution very easily. Okay, that's the benefit of having a large community support. Okay, till here we have covered, right? Now let's go on to our day two part. Today we are going to talk about Python. Today we are going to talk about Python, right? many of you know about that this is a programming language. Many of you know that this is a programming language, right? But that's a partial definition. That's the partial definition. If someone asks you, either you are going in interview, or if someone asks you in, in general as well, what is Python, 90 to 95% of the people will going to say that it's a programming language, right? It's a programming language, right? But that's a partial answer, right? The correct form of answering what exactly is Python, you can go like this, that Python is an interpreted high level programming language. Okay, Python is an interpreted high level programming language. Okay, so saying that it's only a programming language, that is a partial definition, right? Apart from that, there are other stuff as well that you can add in the term of Python. You can add that it's an object-oriented programming language as well. You can say it's a cross-platform programming language. It's an open source programming languages, and so on and so forth, right? So we are going to cover each of the topic, that what do you mean by interpreted, what do you mean by high level, what do you mean by OOPS concept and high level language. We are going to talk about that in a bit, right? First of all, let's understand this very carefully. What exactly does this definition mean? Okay, what exactly does this definition mean? Over here, there's three things that you need to keep in mind. One is your interpreted, next is your high level, and the third is your programming language. Okay, we have three things over here: interpreted, high level, and programming language. Okay, we are going to see each of the topic one by one. Okay, let's start with the term known as programming language first. Let us understand about programming language, then we are going to talk about all the other stuff, right? Now, just forget about programming language, let's focus on the language, right? If I tell you, what do you understand by the term language? Can you guys help me out in this? What do you guys understand by this term language? What is your definition of defining the term language? Anyone, please. Come on, fast. Anyone? Come on, tell me. What do you understand by the term language? Communication, okay, a way of communication, okay, used to communicate. Okay, so the communication or the word communicate is very common over here. Okay, exactly, it's a medium, it's a way, or it's a medium. This is also a keyword whenever you define the term language. So you can define the term language as it is a medium, through which entities can communicate with each other. Okay, or let me write over, through which two or more entities communicate with each other, right? This is a simple definition about language. Again and again, I'm telling you, if you are feeling the screen is blurred, kindly change the resolution to 720p, please. It's a request. Okay, I believe that will going to help you out. Okay, yeah, so language is actually a medium through which two or more entities, right? It could be anything. We are not only talking about human, right? It could be anything, right? Two or more entities can communicate with each other, right? This is a very simple form of a language, right? Now let's talk about the how exactly you can add multiple things in this language. It is totally dependent upon this term that is known as two or more entities. Right? Now over here, if two entities, let's take our first scenario where the entities, where we have two person, right, where we have two entities, right, and these two entities are both human. Let's say this is A, this is B, right, and these both entities are human. Okay, let me copy and paste. So over here, these two are humans, right? Now they need a language in order to communicate with each other. Likewise, currently I'm explaining to you something. right? I'm explaining about Python and language, right? How exactly I'm conveying all the information through a language, through a medium, right? And at the same time, you also should know about that particular medium or particular language. Then only you can understand and you can get the information from that data, right? The language that the human talks, we call that language as a natural language. Natural language, right? A language that has been used by human beings to communicate with each other, it's known as natural language. It is known as natural language, right? And if I talk about that, do we only have one language? Do we only speak one language? Tell me. We as a human, do we only speak only one language? Yes or no? Come on. Do we only speak one language? Yes or no? Of course not. Yes or no? Of course not. We have lots of language in store. We have English, we have Japanese, we have German, we have Hindi, we have Spanish, and whatnot. We have a multiple language. We have a lot of language, and these are the language through. And the use of this language is to help humans to communicate with each other. Simple as that. Simple as that. Yes or no? Right? Similarly, if we again in the second scenario, if we have two, again we have two entities. Let's say we have two entities. This is the first entity. This is the second entity. Right? In this case as well, the first entity is human. However, the second entity over here is your computer, or you can say a machine, or you can say a computer, right? We have the second entity as human. In this form, we have seen that in the first example, if you want to communicate with each other, you need to make sure that both the entities should know the same language. Yes or no? Yes or no? Right? In the first scenario, we have seen if these two entity wants to communicate with each other, doesn't matter what language they are specifying it, both of them should be knowing the same language. Similarly, over here is that if computer wants to communicate with, sorry, if human wants to communicate with computer and vice versa, they need to set a language in between that should be commonly be distributed with each other, right? And on the other hand, if you have learn about computers or ever have studied about computer, you must have known that computer only understand binary. Yes or no? What is binary? That is 0 and 1. Yes or no? That is 0 and 1. I hope everyone knows that. Computer doesn't understand English, computer doesn't understand Hindi, computer doesn't understand mathematics or anything. Computer only understand the binary. It only recognize binary digits. That is your 0 and 1. Whatsoever instruction you say and whatsoever instruction you write, it has to be converted into zeros and 1 before computer reads it out and it will going to process it. This is a very normal flow. This is a very normal flow that everyone should know, right? Now the problem over here is that human speaks English and Hindi and all that, right? And if human wants to speak 0 and 1, it will be very difficult for a human to speak in this form, right? Let's suppose you are writing hello like this. You're if we greet someone in English, we say hello, right? But computer understand in zeros and ones. So what you have to do, you have to write this. You have to write this in a form of zeros and ones. So it might be like this, hello. So what happened? It is very complicated for a human. It is very, very complicated for a human to talk to a machine in this form, right? And vice versa. Computer doesn't understand about English, Hindi, and so on and so forth. So obviously, computer also finds it very difficult, right? So they have developed a new language. They have developed a language that helps a human to communicate with machine or computer and vice versa. That particular language is known as your programming language. That language is known as a programming language through which human and computer or machine can communicate with each other, right? And similarly, in the first case, we have seen there are plenty of languages that we have through which we can communicate, right? Similarly, in programming languages as well, we have plenty of languages or plenty of programming languages through which human and computer or machine can communicate with each other, right? We have Java, we have C, C++, we have Python, we have Julia, we have Ruby, right? And we have multiple other programming languages, right? I hope now it is clear what is a programming language. Yes or no? I hope now this is clear what is a programming language. Yes or no? Is this clear? Perfect. Okay. Now, among all this programming language, we have one as Python, right? So, never ever compares any kind of programming languages with each other, right? Never compares that Java versus Python, C++ versus Python, or Julia versus Python. You can only compare a programming language based on a situation and based on a decision, right? You cannot say that, tell me which programming language is better. No programming language is better, no programming language is worse. Always remember this thing. Every programming language has been designed for a specific purpose, and they are at the top in their domain, right? And in this domain, we are going to start with Python, right? And this is how a programming language concept looks like. I hope this is clear, everyone. Shall we go on to the next topic? Shall we go on to the next topic? Yes or no? Okay, perfect. Now, the next thing over here is interpreted. Okay, we are done with this term that is known as programming language. Next is interpreted. Okay, so interpreted, this word interpreted comes out from a word interpreter. What do you understand by this interpreter? What are all these things? Let's understand this with the help of an example. Okay, I hope you guys are here till with me, right? Now, let's say we have two people or two human beings. This is the first human being. This is the second human being, right? This human being is from Japan, right? This another human being is from Germany, right? Okay. Now, the people who are living in Japan, they speak Japanese, and the people who are living in Germany, they speak German, right? Now, what happened is that at one day they want to communicate with each other, like for a business, on a business trip. They both have different business in their home country, and they want to expand it, right? Japanese people wants to expand their business in Germany, and vice versa, right? But the only difference over here is, and only problem is that this Japanese guy doesn't know German, and this German guy doesn't know about Japanese, right? And they don't know any other similar language as well, right? Now what happened is, do you think it will be easy for them to communicate, or it will be difficult for them to communicate? Tell me. Will it be easy for them to communicate or difficult for them to communicate with each other where they don't know each other's language? Come on. Come on, fast. Obviously it will be very difficult for them. Yes or no? It will be very difficult for them to communicate with each other, right? One scenario is that now this German guy will now going to understand, this German guy will now going to sit, sorry, this Japanese guy will now going to sit and consume time and learn German, and same goes for the Germany guy. Then they will going to communicate. That's the first scenario. In the second scenario, what we can do is, to tackle this kind of situation, we can bring up a translator in between, right? Translator is the person over here who knows Japanese as well, and at the same time he knows German as well. This translator does know Japanese and German. So now what happened is that we have removed the barrier. Now let's say Japanese guy has provided a message to the translator. Let's say konnichiwa. Okay, konnichiwa. Now this translator will going to take the message, and it will going to translate the message into German, right? So let's say in German it will be hello. right? And then it will going to convey the same message to Germany. In this way, if you can see, both of them have not understand, or both of them has not learned each other's language, but still they are able to communicate with each other. Yes or no? Yes or no? Getting this? Getting this? Yes or no? Come on. Okay. The same scenario, if you see over here, in the first place, when we were talking about programming language, there was a barrier. There was a barrier that now how human can talk in computers language and vice versa. So what we do is, let's say we have the same entity over here. The first entity over here is our human, right? Is our human. The second entity is our machine. Oh, okay. And the translator that we were talking about, we have three kinds of translator. We have assembler, we have compiler, and we have interpreter. Okay. So these are the three translator that we have. These are the three translators that we have. So now based on this translators, human speaks on their natural language, with their natural language in English, right? This assembler, translator, and interpreter translates the language into binary form and send that code to machine, right? And again, when machine finds the input, it process that input and provide the output in a form of binary language and provide the same to the translator. This translator will going to translate the binary language in the human understandable form and will going to provide it to human. Are you guys getting this? Yes or no? Yes or no? Right? So definitely you must have used all these assistants, right? You must have used Google Assistants, Alexa, or Siri, right? I hope everyone have must have used that or must have known about that, right? So that what happened is that you open the all these application and you talk in your natural language, right? Not only in English, but also in different other languages. You can easily communicate with all these applications, and at the same time you can see the response you will be getting will be in the same language. Yes or no? If you're talking in English with the to your Siri or your Google Assistant, your Alexa, it will going to reply to you in the human understandable language as well, right? But that doesn't mean that machine understand human language. It means that machine is having a compiler. Machine is having a translator. This translator is translating and helping both of the entities to understand each other better. I hope this is clear. Cortana, nobody uses Cortana, right? Nobody uses Cortana. Okay. I hope this example is helpful for you to understand what is this interpreter, compiler, and assembler. They are the translators. Okay. I'm going to talk about the compiler and interpreter as well. Okay. Just wait for a sec. Is this clear? Now you guys know what is translator? Now you guys know what is a translator. Okay. Now these are the three types of translator that we have. One is known as assembler, compiler, and interpreter. During 3 decade back, right, 3 to 4 decade back, when programming was really haunting, right, when programming used to be very haunting. Nowadays programming is very easy. Nowadays programming is very easy. People are trying their best to make it more easy and more understandable from. That's why I've told you yesterday that why do we use Python, because if you know English you can go with Python, right? But this was not the case always, right? If you go, let's say, 30 years back or 40 years back, at that time programming was way more difficult. Okay, at that time programming was way more difficult. So there used to be one language known as assembly language. There used to be one language known as assembly language, right? The assembler, the translator that is used in assembly language is known as the assembler. Okay, the translator that is being used for the assembly language is known as assembler, right? But nowadays nobody uses assembler because this technology is for, let's say, 2 or 3 decades back. Nowadays compiler and interpreter are more famous as compared to your assembler, right? But still you need to understand that there are three kind of translators, right? Apparently you can have multiple other translators, right? But these are the most famous ones. Okay, so assembler is for the assembly language. Till here, is this clear, right? Let's move on and understand about the compiler and interpreter. What is the difference between these two, right? From here, you must have known that when we say Python is an interpreted language, definitely Python is using interpreter. All of you might have, and already guessed that. Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. From here, all of you might have already guessed that Python is using interpreter. That's why we call this as an interpreted language, right? But now the question arises is, why interpreter? Why not compiler? Is there any difference between compiler and interpreter? Yes, there is a huge difference between compiler and interpreter. And that difference is the way they compile it. Okay? The way they compiling means to convert the code or convert the source code into the machine understandable form. Okay, so what exactly is the difference between these two is, let's suppose you have your space over here, right? You have your workspace and you're writing some kind of code. Let's say this is your first line of code, second line of code, third line of code, four line of code, and five line of code, right? When we talk about compiler, when we talk about compiler, how compiler work is, compiler will go in as soon as you say that, okay, this is my source code, now compile it. That means give this code to machine. Now, how exactly compiler works is, it takes the entire code at once and compile it. That means convert it into the machine understandable form. That is in zeros and ones, right? Okay. But if we talk about interpreter, what happens in interpreter is, interpreter takes the code line by line. That means it's going to take the first line and then convert the first line into zeros and one. Then when it is converted, then it will going to come up to the second line. It will going to check the second line. Then it will going to convert the second line into the machine understandable form. That is a zero and one. Then it will going to come up again. It will going to take the third line. Again, it will going to convert it. And this is the pattern of interpreter. Now, based on the different patterns, if I ask you, what do you think, who will be faster? Will it be compiler who directly take all the code and compile that into machine language, or is it interpreter who compile the code line by line? Whom do you think is faster based on their action? Compiler or interpreter? Come on. Compiler, of course, compiler. Exactly. Okay. Of course, compiler, because we have seen the nature that compiler takes the entire code and compiles it directly, right? No, guys, interpreter is not faster. How can interpreter will be faster? Compiler is faster, right? Based on the action, compiler is faster than the interpreter. That's the difference. That's the thing that you must have seen, that people get a question that C versus Python. C versus Python, right? And people say that C is faster than Python. You must have heard about this question. C programming language is Python faster than Python programming language, right? The reason being is, C uses compiler, Python uses interpreter. C uses compiler and Python uses interpreter. Okay, that's why we call Python as an interpreted language, right? So earlier what happened is that it used to be a problem that since Python uses interpreter, it is slower, right? But nowadays you can see in the upcoming versions, Python is getting really faster, right? The latest version, that is for Python 3.11, that is way more faster than the previous versions. And in the upcoming time, it has been predicted that Python 3.14 will be way more faster. Okay, so this is a shorthand notation to tell you what is a compiler, what is an interpreter, and why Python is known as an interpreted language. I hope this is clear to everyone. Till here, is this clear to everyone? Yes or no? Kindly give me your confirmation, please. Kindly give me a confirmation if you guys are getting this. Yes or no? Okay, perfect, awesome. So now programming language is done, right? Now interpreted is done, right? The reason why I'm telling you everything about interpreter programming and all this, because whenever you go to an interview, right, they ask you that, okay, you are telling that it's a programming language, but what do you understand by programming language? You are telling that Python is an interpreted language, okay, but what do you understand by the term interpreted language, right? So this is very important to understand the reason behind all of this definition. Okay, now let's come to the next part. Python is a high level language. Python is a high level language, and this is also very, very important. And at the same time, it tricks a lot of students, right? So there are two types of language again. One is your high level, one is your high level, and second is your low level language. Okay. Now what happened is most of the time people confuse themselves with the by the term high level and low level. They say that high level language are those language which is difficult, and low level language are those language which is easy. Yes or no? Yes or no? Right? Most of the time people get themselves confused in this, right? But this is not the case. This is absolutely not the case, right? So now, in a very generic form, those languages that are nearer to machine is known as a low level language, right? And those language that are more nearer to human, okay, that is known as your high level language. Now let me show you and explain this you with the help of an example. Let's say on the left hand side I am having a human. Okay, left hand side I am having a human. On the right hand side I am having a machine. Right hand side I am having a machine, right? Or let me explain you with the help of this example. It will be very easy for you. Let's say this is the ending point. This is the ending point, right? This is the ending point. One athlete is standing over here. One athlete is standing over here, right? And another athlete is standing over here. Let's say this is the athlete A, right? And this is the athlete B, right? Athlete A is standing over here and athlete B is standing over here, and this is the ending mark, right? And the race started. Now, whom do you think will going to win this race easily? A or B? Come on, tell me. Whom do you think will going to win this race easily? A or B? It is B. Of course, it is B. Yes or no? Because B is nearer to the ending point. That means if in a situation if you give a message to A and if you give a message to B and tell them that you have to convey this message to the person who is standing over here C. Let's say this is a person C, right? Both of them has been given a message and we say that you have to if your screen is blurry, again and again I'm telling you, kindly please upgrade your resolution to 720 pixel. Okay. Okay, thank you. Now, yeah, let's coming back to the topic. If you ask two of them to convey the message to C, there's a high possibility that B will going to be conveying the message to C in a very low time, and that means B will be more faster than the A, right? This is a similar case in the case of high level and low level language. Okay, let's say this is your human and this is a machine, and we make a line over here, right? Those programming languages that is nearer to machine, that means that is easy for machine, but difficult for human, is known as low level programming languages. Those languages that is easy for human but difficult for machine, it is known as your high level programming language. That means machine friendly programming languages are known as low level languages, right? And user friendly languages are known as your high level programming languages, right? In when we talk about low level programming languages, you have your assembly language. Okay, but when we talk about high level programming languages, you have your Java, Python, Julian, so on and so forth. But the drawback is that if it's a user friendly language, it will be slower as compared to the low level programming language, because low level is more nearer to machine as compared to the high level programming language. Is this clear? Yes or no? Is this clear? Is this clear, everyone? Yes or no? Guys, we still have approximately 20 minutes left. Kindly, please don't ask for attendance right now. Okay? Okay. So now over here, this is your high level language, that is your user friendly. and low level language are those language that is your machine friendly. But the only con over here is low level programming language will be way more faster as compared to the high level programming languages, because low level programming languages are more nearer to machine and CPUs and all that. However, the high level language are way more apart from the machines. Okay, clear? Okay, so this is the reason why we say Python as a high level programming language. This is the reason why we call Python as a high level programming language, right? So now I hope this is clear. When somebody asks you what is Python, or somebody says that Python is an interpreted high level programming language, it will be very clear for you to understand, okay, what exactly all this term means, right? Apart from that, you can add some more features in Python. That means Python is an object oriented programming language as well. Python is an object oriented programming language as well. Object programming language means object programming language means that over here it's a pattern that you have to follow. Okay, it's a pattern that you have to follow while you code. Okay, so whenever you are coding, or whenever you are writing any kind of application, or any kind of it could be a mobile application, it could be your web application, and so on and so forth, right? Yes, low level programming languages are faster than the high level programming languages. Okay, don't get confused in this. Okay, yeah. So object oriented programming language is just a way how you present your code. Okay, it's just a way how you present your code, so that how you manage your code, how you present your code. Because the motive of object oriented programming language is that try to reuse the code. If you have already written a functionality and you require it afterward as well, kindly try to reuse the code. Okay, instead of building that again. That is the same thing that we do in our real life. Yes or no? Okay, that is the same thing that we do in our real life. If I'm already having something, obviously I'm not going to purchase it again until and unless that particular thing that I'm having is already exhausted, right? So object oriented programming is a paradigm, or you can say it's a structure how exactly code should be written, and it is very powerful. And Python supports object oriented programming. However, the C programming languages doesn't support Python programming language. Oh, sorry, doesn't support object oriented programming. That's why we have C++. Okay, C++ supports your object oriented programming, Java supports your object oriented programming, or any other programming language or the latest programming languages. It has to support object oriented programming. Okay, object oriented programming, we work with classes, objects, we work with inheritance, polymorphism, and there are other certain concepts. And it has to be shown that Python supports the OOPS concept, that is known as the object oriented programming. I hope this is clear. Is this clear? Yes or no? Is this clear? C language doesn't support OOPS concept. C programming language only supports your functionality. Okay, it only supports functional or procedural. Yeah, it only supports procedural oriented programming language, right? Whereas Python supports object oriented programming language, right? Next thing over here is Python also supports cross platform. Python also support cross platform. And the reason why Python support cross platform is because it is a high level programming language. You need to understand this. The reason being Python supports cross-platform is that it's a high-level language. Cross-platform means that if you have written a code in one machine, right? If you have written a code in one machine and afterwards you want this code to be run in another machine with different environment, it will definitely going to work out. Right? Earlier, when we talk about low level programming language, right? So earlier, what used to happen that low level programming language are absolutely depend upon the architecture of the computer or architecture of the CPU, right? Let's say if I'm programming, if I'm writing a programming, if I'm doing a programming in my low level language, right? So currently I'm having a RAM such as 4 GB, right? And I'm using the processor of Intel i7 7th gen, right? And there are other what kind of transmitter I'm using, and so on and so forth. If I've written a code in this configuration, now if I take the same code and try to run in another machine where I'm having some different configuration, low level programming language will not going to work out. Low level programming language will not going to work out. However, this is not the case in high level programming language, right? High level programming language is supports cross platform. That's why with the help of Python, not only you can use if you have written a code into let's say on Windows, you can use the same code and you can run in your Mac OS. You can use the same code and you can integrate that code into an IoT device as well. It will going to run, right? That's why Python supports the cross platform, and the reason being why it supports that, because it is a high level programming language. Okay, is this clear? Is this clear, everyone? Yes or no? Is this clear, everyone? Yes or no? Okay. And the last thing about Python that you should know is Python is also open source programming language. Python is open source, right? This term is getting famous a lot. Open source, right? People are working on open source. People are more oriented towards the words of open source, right? If you have heard about program by Google that is known as GSOC, that is Google Summer of Code, that focuses on open source. If you must have heard about the program that is known as Hacktoberfest, that focuses on the open source, right? Similarly, Python is also an open source programming language, right? Open source means a language or any technology. You can only claim the technology to get open source if it satisfied two rules. Okay, if it satisfied two rules. The first rule is free to use, right? Many people get confused. They say that open source softwares are those software that is free to use. Absolutely not. Open source software or any kind of programming language can be given the tag of open source only if it satisfies two conditions. The first condition is it should be free to use, and secondly, the most important thing is the source code of that application should be available. The source code of that application should be available. Is this clear? Okay, don't get yourself confused in this, that open source are those softwares that are free to use. No, it has to be free to use, and at the same time the source code should be available. Is this clear, everyone? Yes or no? Okay, so these are the terms that you need to understand about Python, right? There are a lot of other things, but I believe that this is sufficient for you to understand what is Python and what are the different ways. Yes, VLC media player is also an open source, but however it is banned. I think it's banned in India, right? Okay, now let's first give me a confirmation if till here you guys are clear. Okay, are you guys clear till here? Yes or no? Source code mean the code. See, whatsoever application you write, right? So you write certain code, right? Even though for let's say this GUI, if I click on this and click on inspect, right, you can see over here some kind of code has been written. Can you see this? Some kind of code has been written. This is the backend code. Sorry, this is the HTML code and CSS code that has been written, right? Based on that, you can easily see over here, right? These are the source code. If source code is available for you, then you can call this as an open source, right? This is just to show you that how exactly code looks like. Okay, okay. Shall we move on to the interesting part? Shall we move on to the most interesting part about Python? Yes or no? Come on, let's see. Okay, so this is the most interesting part, and I love about this part is that is known as the anatomy of Python. That now we know that okay, what is Python, how exactly what are different things that you can define Python and all that. But what exactly is the history of Python? How Python has became such a great language, and why do we need Python? Because when Python was really released, before that we used to have a lot of other programming languages. Then why there was a need of creating the new programming language that is known as Python. Okay, are you guys curious to know about this history? Yes or no? I only take 10 minutes. I only take 10 minutes. That's it. Okay. I only take 10 minutes. Okay. Perfect. Let's see this. Now, what happened is the foundation of this, Python, all the idea of this Python has been started in 1980s. Okay. 1980s. Now, what happened is there was one guy whose name was Guido van Rossum. Okay. His name was Guido van Rossum. Okay, this was the guy who has created Python. But now let's understand why he was curious enough to create this programming language. So what happened is that Guido van Rossum was an engineer, just like we are, many of us, right? Now what happened is that Guido van Rossum was working for a company, right? And at that time when he was working for a company, he was using a programming language that was known as ABC programming language. It was known as ABC programming language, right? Now, while working with ABC programming language, right, Guido van Rossum has no seen that. See, at the time the programming language was very hard. Okay, at that time, the programming language that we used to have, right? We have Pascal, we have COBOL, and all that, right? That was really difficult for a user to understand, and that is very difficult for people to convey and work on this, right? But when he was working with ABC programming language, he was enjoying it fullest. He was enjoying it absolutely. He was enjoying it fullest, and he was really moved by how exactly ABC programming language is way more or less complicated as compared to different programming languages. But there was lot of flaws in ABC programming language. There was lot of flaws in ABC programming languages, right? So what he thought is that, see, the ideology of ABC is really great, but there are a lot of flaws. So if you want to make this forward, let me create one programming language. Let me create my own programming language, right? So he had started in 1980s. This was just an idea. Okay, this was just an idea, and he always wanted, based on this scenario, he always wanted to create a programming language. But now what happened is that, when you are stuck with being a job and all that, you don't get that much time to work on your own project, right? So what happened is, on one fine Christmas Eve, okay, on one fine Christmas Eve, in 1989, it was 1989, on the Christmas Eve, when all the Guido van Rossum colleagues went to for holidays and they were enjoying for Christmas and all that. There was a winter break that Guido van Rossum has got. So what happened is that Guido has decided not to go and enjoy in that let's say in that vacation, but he thought that, let me start with my side project. Let me start with my side project that I used to, I had an idea, but I never got a chance to work on that. So let's start with that project. So in on December 1989, he started with the project. He started with the project, and he was done on February 1991. Okay, he started in December 1987. Okay, and he completed the project in February 1991. Okay, before that, what happened is that he has created the programming language, right? Because it was based on ABC. Now the issue was, he was not getting the name. His ideology was that, I want to give a special name to this programming language, which will be more unique, which will be more chaotic, and people will going to get engaged in that. It will going to attract it, right? Now most of the time, people thinks that, not in 3 months. Kindly see, it's not in 3 months. Okay, don't get confused. People are writing that only 3 months he has created. No, it's not 3 months. See the day, year as well. Okay, now what happened that he likewise, we watch series and all that, right? So during that time, there used to be a BBC comedy series known as Monty's Python Flying Circus. Okay, it used to airs in 1970s. Okay, during 1970s, there was a BBC comedy show, comedy series. Okay, and that series name was Monty Python's Flying Circus, right? Flying circus, right? And this python doesn't mean it doesn't denote or doesn't reflect any kind of snake species. Okay, now is it audible? Now am I audible? Yes or no? Come on, give me a confirmation, please. Now am I audible? Yes or no? Come on. Okay, and give me a confirmation if you guys can see my screen as well. Give me a confirmation if you guys can see my screen as well. Okay, perfect. I think there was a glitch, I believe, right? Anyway, let's continue. I think till here, till here, everyone has heard me till here. Yes or no? Kindly let me know where was the last you have heard me. Please tell me where. Okay, okay. I was talking about the ABC comedy series. Yeah. So likewise, we have a series nowadays, right? Now we watch Friends. Now we watch Big Bang Theories and all that, right? So in 1970s as well, there used to be a famous comedy series, right? It was Monty's Python Flying Circus, and Guido and Russom was so moved by the series that he decided to name his programming language as Python. Okay, and the first version of Python has rolled out as Python 0.9.0. Okay, Python 0.9.0, and after in the year 1994, after in the year 1994, the next version of Python has been released as Python 1.0. Okay, and the key feature about this Python version was that it includes the features such as lambda function, map function, reduce function, and filter function, right? These are the functionality that Python 1.0 has, and they have released all this, right? And later, they have released the next Python version, that is Python 2.0. And this 2.0 has a really great feature such as list comprehension and garbage collection, or I would say automated garbage collection, right? These are the features that they have launched in different versions, and that is the anatomy of Python, how Python has taken a turn, right? And how exactly it has been created. But the same thing is that during the initial days, Python programming language has struggled a lot. The reason being is, since Python was using the interpreter, right? So it was very slow as compared to other programming languages, right? But as the time went off, people started keep realizing the power of Python, and they have seen that Python is the Arnold in the field of data science, right? In the year 2013, as the number of data is been increasing drastically, people have started move on towards the field of Python, and they have kept working on. That's why we have a lot number of communities, and we have huge number of libraries that is working with Python, right? And in the upcoming time as well, the scope of Python is very huge. In the upcoming time as well, the scope of Python is very wide, right? What you can do with Python, you can do web development, you can do mobile development, you can do desktop application development, you can create a GUI and CLI, you can work with graphics, you can develop web scraping, you can automate stuff, you can create APIs, you can create games, you can create iOS applications and mobile phone applications and various more, right? And the field in which Python is being currently being used is the science field, astroscience, bioinformatics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, finances, and data visualizations, right? If you must have, this is a let's say cherry on ice, right? So this is you must have heard about this company known as Grow. You must have heard about the company CoinDCX. You must have heard about the company Kuvera app. All this, you must have about that. Yes or no? Right? What are the key concept of all these companies? What are the key concept of all these companies? Investments. The key concept about Grow, CoinDCX, and Kuvera is absolutely investment. This says that invest your money, right? We have our own brokers. They will going to put money in different forms, and they will going to help you to get some profit, right? All this company uses machine learning a lot. This is a finance field, this is a fintech, okay? This is a fintech that uses the machine learning algorithms and all that at a very high end. With the help of machine learning, artificial intelligence, you can predict that whether the stocks will going to go up or it will going to go down based on the previous data, right? And in order to operate all the sectors, you need to have one programming language, and the best in the domain is your Python. Okay, I believe this is clear to everyone. Yes or no? Is this clear to everyone? Yes or no? Come on. Perfect. So I think that's all for today. We can wrap this up from for here. Tomorrow we're going to start with the practical implementation in Python. We are going to see what are the datas, how to define datas, how to put datas in different data types, and what are the different data types that we have. Right. That is something that we are going to talk about tomorrow. Okay. So more we have talked a lot about theoretical concept. Tomorrow we're going to start with the practical implementation. Right. So that's the end of today's lecture. Right. Now, the moment that all of you might be waiting for is your certificates, right? So here you go. This is your certificate form. So kindly try to fill this up as soon as possible, right? Let me put this, right? And the condition of getting the certificate, I believe that everyone knows that you need to have 100% attendance, along with you have to submit the project, right? If you're doing the both, then only you will be eligible in getting the certificate. Otherwise, you won't be getting it. Okay, is this clear? Okay, let me put the link again. Here you go. This is the attendance link. Okay, and if somebody wants to connect with me, you guys can connect with me on LinkedIn. This is my LinkedIn profile. Okay, perfect. So now it's the time for your questions. So kindly begin with your question if you have any. Okay, I think a lot of people have went for the attendance and they are gone. Okay, okay, cool. Any doubt, any question? See, OOPS means object oriented programming. It's a paradigm, or it's a way of writing the code so that you will be writing reusable code and more optimized code and efficient code that you can easily use afterward as well. Okay, it's a format basically. Okay, anything else? Already explained. Oops, already explained that. Any doubt, anyone? Any doubt, anyone? Let me put the attendance link again. Here you go. This is your attendance link. Machine learning in short is giving the ability of machine to learn. Okay, this is in a very short form. Giving or replicating the human ability of learning to a machine. That is known as machine learning. Okay. C doesn't uses OOPS. C uses procedural oriented programming. That means C works with functions, whereas OOPS works with class and objects. Okay. Anything else? So why we call O not zero in Python? I'm not getting this. Why we called O not zero or zero not O? I'm not getting this. Yeah, obviously it's a day two attendance because today is day two. Okay. Yesterday we haven't given the attendance. Okay, we haven't rolled out the attendance link, so don't worry about yesterday. Attendance will going to start from attendance has started from today itself. That's why it's your day two attendance. Okay. Here you go with your attendance link. Any other doubt? Anyone? See, that is not possible enough, right? Because C is being you is been used, has been used from, let's say, past a lot of decades. So you cannot say that why C cannot upgrade it from OOPS concept. So it has to change the entire architecture, right? It is not that easy that you think. How undergraduate student can get intern as data analyst? If you want try to focus on the different tools that is required for the data analyst, and then you can apply either an internshala or you can apply it on LinkedIn for the same. Okay, that will going to help you out a lot. HTML is a front end technology, right? If you want to design the front end, then you should know about HTML, CSS. HTML is the structure, or you can say a skeleton of a website, right? And if you want to modify that and customize that, you have to know about CSS. And if you want to add some additional feature, need to know about JavaScript. Okay. Any other doubt? Garbage collection is very important concept. See, garbage collection, what happened is I think I cannot explain you in this format. I need to explain explain that in a practical form. You won't be able to understand theoretical concepts. So tomorrow, if we are going to discuss about variables, definitely I'm going to make sure that we are going to talk about garbage collection as well. Okay. Can we get placement without any internship? Yes, you can. If you are aiming for on campus, then you can easily get that, right? But off campus requires some past experiences. Okay. So cybersecurity topic you teach us. I cannot teach you the cybersecurity topics because I'm not that much experienced in that field. I'm experienced in the field of software industry and data science. That's what I can teach you, and Python as well. Okay. Best platform to learn Python and how to learn it. I would say go and check out W3S school. Okay, that will going to help you out as a beginner. That will going to definitely going to help you out. If you want to learn Python in depth, kindly check out the uh, platform. The YouTube channels such as Code with Harry for Hindi and Telescope for English. They have the best ever content for Python. So kindly check those out. Okay. Perfect. So this is the last time I'm sharing you the application. Okay. sorry, the attendance link, and this is the last time I'm sharing you my LinkedIn. Okay. Any more doubt? Any more questions? Perfect. I think that's all for today. We can wrap this up. Okay. Cool. Okay, guys, let's meet tomorrow. That's all for today. Thank you so much for joining in. Let's meet tomorrow. Till then, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your day, and let's meet tomorrow at the same time at 7. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care. Good night.